Hi again, everybody. Welcome into a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Stacey King alongside. Timmy Whispers is somewhere en route. I don't know what happened.
Well, I think he's been kidnapped by some terrorist group. He rides around and in that big old truck.
Yeah, I know.
The mod. What is it called?
What do they call it? The ghost.
The Elon Musk looks like a Lego truck. Yeah, that's what he drives around in. So obviously he's been kidnapped this morning.
Yeah, well, he'll join us later in the show. He'll have some kind of lame excuse why he's late, but he'll be fine. He'll be treated accordingly. Hey, we want to say hello to all the fans who are watching on the Chicago Sports Network. We are so excited about our partnership with them. We were happy to see our show pop up last Thursday at 4 o'clock, and we're hoping that will be a regular time slot for us. It's kind of cool to see our little show on TV.
Mark, you feel like you made it. You know what I'm saying? We've gone from being in the basement, we've gone from having gold microphones looking like we were a bunch of pimps. And then, here we are now, we go to YouTube and now we're on CSHN.
It's funny, when we were originally doing the show in the studio, we each had our own individual computer.
Yep.
So there were like 4 separate shots, and we were all in the same room.
Yeah,
I mean, it was crazy. And the audio was terrible.
We've come a long way. I mean, seriously, the audio, it sounded like we were in a broom closet.
Yeah.
And we've upgraded the show. We've done a lot of stuff to the show. We got some really good guys working. D and Cisco outlasted everybody else, and they do a great job of the engineering and cutting everything and putting everything together. It's really cool now to see where we're at right now and partnering with CSHN. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Again, it feels like I'm on a sitcom. I saw us on the tube. I was like, whoa, we on the tube? Oh, we done made it big time. Mom,
we made it.
Mom,
we made it.
I made it, Mama.
Thanks to our technical guys, D and Cisco are doing great work. I want to thank our guy for the social media, Nick.
Nick Bianchi.
Well,
he does a good job. And
so we
got and then our fans, our loyal fan base who's been with us from day one. They continue to make this show grow and grow and grow. You look at our YouTube channel, it's grown now, and the people that stuck with us. Our sponsors has been with us from day one. Jeff Vucevic does a good job of being with us as well, and it's just great. It's just great to see where we've gone from where we started from.
And we want to shout out all the folks at Chicago Sports Network. My good friend Phil Badella, who approached us about signing on with a partnership with them. They're technical people, Michael Bowling, Edgar Perez, all the great editors over there, and we look forward to many great things to come in the years ahead. And speaking of success stories and a guy who made it, it is now our pleasure to welcome in our special guest this week. He is Matt Lloyd. He is the Minnesota Timberwolves general manager. I first met Matt when he was working in the media relations department back in the late 90s, and Matt was always a wonderful help and just great getting to know him over the years. And I had a chance to bump into him at a Windy City Bulls game about a week or so ago, and we get a chance to talk with Will Perdue and share some old stories. Matt, thanks for joining us. I was wondering if you could share with our listeners and viewers how this all came about, going from media relations. I know John Paxson was a big influence on your life, to getting into this, and now you're the general manager of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, I really appreciate the chance to be here with you guys, and to say that you both had a role in it would be an understatement. I wanted to share one Stacey King story if I possibly could.
Sure.
So the 1988 college basketball season is probably one of my favorite of all time. It was just it was like 88, 89. Stacey King is drafted by the Bulls. I could not have been more excited because I was a giant Bulls fan. I was in high school at the time, and it was early in the season, and this is actually Minnesota Timberwolves adjacent because for some reason, I can't remember why Horace Grant couldn't play. Stacey got his first start as a Chicago Bull, and I remember being so excited. I actually had to look it up. It was November 8th, 1989, 13 points and 14 rebounds. And I remember just walking around the – yeah, it was
light work for Stacey.
Baby, I told you the only person who could guard me was Phil Jackson. That's the only person who could slow me down, baby.
But I really appreciate the chance to be here, and having worked with you both. It's just such a great pleasure. I started working for the Chicago Bulls in the 1995 playoffs in the video room, and through a mutual acquaintance who knew I wanted to be involved in basketball somehow. I grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in Itasca, Illinois, in the western suburbs, and probably if you would have asked me in 1991. What I was going to do, I'd have been a high school basketball coach, and got lucky to get these different opportunities. One thing led to another. I got hired full time for the 99-2000 season in the PR department. I worked there for 3 years and got hired into basketball operations after that. Worked for the Bulls for a total of 17 years. And to say that someone growing up in the western suburbs who was a basketball nut would have had a chance to work for the Chicago Bulls, I think it exceeded all my expectations for sure. I went to Orlando as the assistant GM in 2012, and I worked there for 10 seasons. And then 3 seasons ago, Tim Connolly was named the president of basketball operations for the Timberwolves. He and I had kind of come up together in the scouting ranks, and he asked me to come with him. So yeah, I mean, like that's the abridged version of it. But
but how
you
do
know, a
you
lot of
convince Pax and Gar Forman to take that leap of faith to pluck you out of media relations
yeah,
and show that you had the basketball chops that could be successful scouting and being an executive?
yeah, that's a great question. So actually, it started with Jerry Krause, and Jerry. I had worked in the video room, was basically, and keep Stacey will know this. One of my key responsibilities was charting the key pass of the triangle,
Yeah.
and we were doing VHS to VHS tapes. This
Wow.
was before digital video
Wow.
editing equipment. We were charting things for the coaching staff, and Jerry had always kind of seen me, been around, but I never really had the gumption to say anything to him. When I got hired full time, he would ask me for certain projects, and he asked me at one point, you know, would you ever want to work as a scout? And I almost like passed out. I was so just blown away by the question. He asked me to go to the Big Ten tournament. The first scouting report I ever wrote was Bracy Wright from Indiana,
Okay.
who was like a 6'2" two guard. He had a couple cups of coffee in the NBA. And then John took the team over, and I just luck had it. John was the radio guy for the Bulls, and
Yeah.
I sat next to him on the plane all the time, like across the aisle. Him and Red Kerr and Neil Funk. And so when he got the job, he asked me, you know, if I would like to come up there and work in basketball operations. And I was just blown away. The first couple of years I was doing like logistical things. And then Gar asked me, you know, would I want to cover the CBA? We had a team in Rockford.
Yep.
Stacey remembers Rockford,
Yep.
and we had a team in Gary. So for 2 seasons, I basically went to anytime they had a home game, I went to the game, and that led to college scouting, and then that led to putting the summer league team together, and really the experience I got working there, and how they empowered me to do my own schedule and to really just go. There was one November early on in my scouting career where I left like October 31st, and I remember I came back. I think it was like November 29th. I was just gone, and it was all over the country. Luckily, Gar, John, Ivica, they were all so welcoming and helpful, and learn. I was trying to learn as much as I possibly could, and I just got to learn by experience. So I'm not sure that I convinced them, other than just being present and being willing to do whatever it took, and no task was too small.
Well, you definitely earned your stripes there,
Yeah.
and I was just talking to Pax last night. You know, he was at the game last night, and I haven't seen him in a while, but it was good seeing him last night. But one of the things that I remember, when Pax took over, and you were part of that. That's when the culture changed, and it started with the draft of Kirk Hinrich. Talk a
Yep.
little bit about that and what went into that draft, selecting Kirk Hinrich, and the thought of trying to change the culture of what was already established, because we came from the championship years, then we had the Tim Floyd years where it was really down, and then Pax comes in, and you guys start to change brick by brick to where they were today.
Yeah, I would say that John just tried to put his sensibilities towards the player personnel on the team and the coaching staff. He hired Scott Skiles, and that draft yielded a lot of future Hall of Famers. And Kirk is one of the probably great underappreciated Chicago Bulls of all time, just for everything that he did to, he wasn't like a vocal outward going leader or rallying people, but he just showed up every day and did the same thing. And when we eventually did get in the playoffs, who was guarding Dwayne Wade? It was Kirk Heinrich, and Kirk really was the first piece in getting the team back into contention. We had three really good playoff appearances. One of which we advanced to the second round and played Detroit. And then the team, we just went through a couple different iterations in my time in the front office. But that draft, I think it was '05 draft or '04 draft, that was the one that started the momentum towards, reestablishing the Chicago Bulls as a tentpole franchise in the NBA. And Kirk was a major part of that.
And what people forget, Matt, was Jason Williams, who was a high draft pick that everybody had high expectations for, college player of the year. He gets in that motorcycle accident, and now, which normally would set an organization back many, many years trying to replace that kind of player. Pax comes in, you guys were able to do it the next year to get Kirk Heinrich to start the ball rolling.
Yeah, and I think Erwin Mandel deserves a little bit of credit too, because I think he invented the pick swap in that around that time, because we made a trade with Phoenix that yielded Luol Deng, and we swapped our pick. We had I think it was 21 for 9, so we had 3 and 9 in the draft, and we ended up with I think what was it, Ben Gordon and Luol Deng.
Yeah.
Yep, and then we picked Chris Duhon in the second round. And Chris ended up being a really impactful player for us along, over the next couple of years. And so Erwin deserves a little credit. I'm pretty sure he invented the pick swap that year that allowed us to get Luol Deng. And then those were just pieces that all started to fit together, and they all started to work together. And we had this young, really up and coming, multi-layered threat team.
And then, of course, you struck gold in the 2008 draft. You had the 9th best odds to win the lottery. You win the lottery and the right to select Derrick Rose. What was that night like in the front office?
Yeah, so that's one of my all-time favorite memories of the Chicago Bulls, working for the Chicago Bulls. So we had that 1 year kind of dipped. We made a coaching change mid-season. It was, we had played Detroit in the second round the previous year. There were a lot of expectations, and I think we finished 33 and 49 that year, around that record. And given how we had been so competitive and how that competitiveness really bled into the front office too. So really no one wanted to watch the lottery.
Right.
We had representatives there. We had people in the back room. We had someone on the dais, and I don't remember who, maybe Steve Shanwald was on the dais. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, it was Steve.
Yeah. Everyone left the office, and I live in downtown Chicago. So everyone that lives in Chicago knows the Berto Center to downtown Chicago is quite the haul in rush hour. So I decided I'm just going to stay and watch the lottery in my office. And everyone had gone home. No one was like, "Oh, I don't want to watch the lottery." And we won.
Wow.
And the phone started ringing off the hook. And it was just this re-energizing of the entire building. We all walked in the next morning, super excited just about the possibility. And there was a lot of good players in that draft as well. Obviously, Derrick was the easy selection. But that night is one of the time I'll never forget it. It felt like it took 3 minutes to drive home after the lottery, because it was just so exciting to start to think about the possibilities that pick elicited.
Now going back to that pick, one of the things that was going on during that time, Derrick had a phenomenal freshman year. Michael Beasley was tearing it up at Kansas State and was having a phenomenal year. Both those guys were considered easily could have been the number 1 pick. Okay. And probably had you guys not have gotten the number 1 pick, I think Beasley probably would have been the number 1 pick, because of some of the teams that needed a forward at that time more so than a point guard. Tell me the process, because, I know players come in, they work out, they work out for the teams. I did that back in, 89, Tell me what the workout process was when those kids come in there. What did you guys, what tipped you off to saying they're both great, but this guy is special?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty simple answer was Derrick's interview. And when we finally got to sit down with him and our entire front office staff, Gar really led the interview process, and he was really good at being prepared, asking questions that we get answers. And I mean, Derek just said, "Hey, I just want to before we get started here and everything, I just want to say how badly I want to be here. This is my hometown. I feel like I can win here." And everyone was just kind of he was so filled with a combination of emotions that it bled out into everyone. The interview was so memorable, such a great representation of who he was and the competitive fiber that kind of held him together. Um, that interview was pretty much, I mean, Derrick Rose was spectacular. Everyone had seen him in high school. Everyone had seen him at Memphis, and to witness, him in that moment behind, no cameras and nothing being recorded or not in the public, and for him to express the desire to be there, it made the decision pretty clear when he left. And but we did the full workout process with a couple guys that year, and it was just a great opportunity to get to know some players. Again, they're all going to be free agents at some point, that you never know who you could trade for, and having the number one pick gives you the luxury of being able to do that. So, but Derek was just completely and totally different in so many ways. All of his athletic testing was off the charts. All of his, his workout was off the charts. And he came in, and 3 years later, the guy's the MVP of the league. So it says what a unique opportunity that number one draft pick was, and safe to say that John and Gar made the absolute right choice that day.
Yeah, you guys had a tremendous run of success in the draft. We mentioned the Ben Gordon, Luol Deng draft. 2007, you get Joakim Noah, then you get Derek, and then 2009, you had Taj Gibson late in the first round. And Taj was back at the United Center with the Charlotte Hornets. He got a standing ovation in the final minute. And he was so emotional talking about his time in Chicago. What are your recollections of Taj, the player and the person?
Yeah, I think, yeah, we what did we pick him, 26,
Yep,
around
26.
that, but yeah. And that came down to draft day. We had to fly him back to Chicago, do one last medical test for him, and and sure enough, man, we got down there, and I give Gar a lot of credit because we had done a really good job of canvassing everything that was available at the 26 pick. And I'd like to think and like to say that our group we were so tight. We could all anticipate what type of player everyone would like. And Taj really went through a three different seasons in college. His freshman year, he played with OJ Mayo, and he was kind of a defensive oriented player. He was playing the five, playing the four. His sophomore year, OJ Mayo had left, and Taj is the kind of the fulcrum of the entire offense. And so you could see he could pass, he could dribble, he could make decisions. His last year, DeMar DeRozan came in as a freshman, and DeMar was the leader of the team, the offensive leader team. So we had seen this evolution that Taj had. Um, and we felt like at minimum, the combination of his size, his skill, and his like length was going to give him a chance. And sure enough, the guy's played X a number of years. He's established himself as a really valuable NBA player at every stop he's made. But that time in Chicago, he was another piece, like you mentioned, like you guys both mentioned, that really established the culture for us and established what the fiber of the Chicago Bulls was meant to be.
Yeah, I mentioned to Stacey on the broadcast that people were saying in that draft Taj was too old. I think he was like 23, 24 coming into the league. He's now in year
Yeah.
16.
Yep.
So much for
Yep.
people saying you can't take an experienced college guy.
Yeah, and he was just such a pleasure to get to know, and he was such a good person. We felt that the failure quotient was very low for him, and just whatever he turned out to be, whatever he could be, he was going to be, because he was a combination of his work and his character. So he was. I'm every time I see him, it's always like you had like no time has
Yeah.
passed. I saw him at summer league, and it was just the same type of conversation and the same appreciation, to mutual appreciation to each other. It was he turned out to be such a good NBA player, and I could not be more proud of him.
One of the things that is under constant discussion is, whether Derrick Rose is going to be a Hall of Famer. Me, I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But there's a lot of people saying that because he didn't finish out his career the way he started because of the injuries, that he may not be. He may be like on the outside looking in. I don't see how you could judge him on that because I thought he came back in a different look, a different way. He changed his game, and he's developed as a very, very good point guard coming off benches. He can still score when needed. He played whatever role the team needed him to play. Whether it be in New York, Minnesota, Memphis, he's done whatever the team's needed and not caused any problems. And he's the guy that could probably say, look, I'm Derrick Rose. I need to start. Put me in the starting lineup. But he never did that because he's an ultimate team player. Do you think he maybe have an opportunity to be a Hall of Famer?
I think it would be a massive mistake if he wasn't, and just getting the opportunity to the people here so appreciate him. Every time he's come here in the 3 years that I've worked here, he gets a standing ovation. He had the 50-point game here during the right pre-pandemic or right around that time when he was here, and everyone speaks so highly of him. If the Hall of Fame is about championships only, and that's one thing, he never really got that type of opportunity. He literally picked up the Chicago Bulls, and 3 years later he was the MVP of the league. He has influenced his teammates so positively throughout the later stages of his career. All these people speak with him in reverence, and he I don't know. It's hard to classify Derrick Rose and what he's meant to me personally, and then apply that to the Hall of Fame. So I'm biased.
Yeah.
I don't have a non-emotional answer for you, just because of everything I saw him do, not to only the team but all the people around the team and how he treats everyone. And if anything, he's a Hall of Fame person, and that I'm sure that somewhere that matters somehow.
Well, I think even being the youngest MVP of the NBA automatically gets you into the door, because that's never been done. And here it is in year 3. And talk a little bit about that, Matt, going into his year 3. He's taken the league by storm the first 2 years. He comes out in the press conference and basically says, why not me? And why can't I be the MVP? Why can't I be the MVP? And people looked at him like he was crazy, because that was the time LeBron James was dominating the MVP. He was like Barry Bonds of the NBA. He was like winning it almost every other year. So talk a little bit about going into that year 3 season of Derrick Rose and that comment that he made, and then how he finished up.
Yeah, I think from the front office perspective, we felt a massive responsibility to Derrick at that point, because he was beginning to establish himself as a player that could individually win playoff series. And you guys both remember that year and how incredible he was that year. There was never a night where he wasn't completely focused and locked in on winning. There was never a night where he didn't lift his teammates. There was never a night where he wasn't completely trying to generate wins for the Chicago Bulls. And so we felt a massive responsibility to him. And we had changed coaches. We had tried to engineer the team and focus the team towards allowing his ability to influence everyone. And he did it. He came in to that training camp that before that season with the mindset to win and to win the championship. And he was unafraid of anyone. And he just lifted up that entire group of players who were all great individual performers of their own right. But that season, he made his mark, and we were all lucky enough to watch it.
I want to ask you more about your job. You mentioned when you first started out, you had to drive to Rockford to check out CBA games. And then, of course, a big part of your career then went into college scouting and preparing for the draft and getting all that information. What is your life like going in and out of airports, traveling to different cities and scouting college players? How hectic is it? And when you reflect back on it, you kind of sometimes pinch yourself going, man, I can't believe I did all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I used to joke when you're out in scouting, you're out, you have all these Marriott points, because you basically just stay at Marriott, the Courtyard Marriott, the Fairfield Marriott, the Marriott, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a couple of years ago, I was looking at the app, and it has the lifetime nights spent in a Marriott. And mine was something up for, I don't know, 1,600 or 1,700 nights or something like that lifetime. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's awesome. And then I started to think, wait a minute, that means I've spent 4 years in a Marriott, that's 4 years of my life in Marriott. So I think that it's always the perception is that it's like very glamorous, but scouting is a very uh, it can be like a frustrating type of outcome because no one can bat 1,000, and you spend all this time and invest all this bandwidth and all this mental energy towards attempting to project a human being, and a lot of things as the years have gone on. I've kind of come to the notion that their success is really going to be largely dictated by them and the kind of type of situation that they're put into and the type of players that they're around. And a guy like Derrick Rose can come in and he is the situation. Derrick Rose was the situation. He would have been successful anywhere he went in whatever team had taken him. Um, and it's our responsibility to try to enhance the situation around other players. So scouting in and of itself is an incredibly a fascinating field to be in. And like I said, I've spent so much time like watching Stacey in college, and when I got cable TV, it was pretty much over, because you can start watching ESPN, you can see all these games, and um, there's a lot of research that's involved in scouting. There's a lot of I always liken it to going to a flea market. And if you go to someone at a flea market that's selling a bunch of records, and you're just sitting there and you're kind of piling through the records, you finally eventually pull one out that you're like, wow, I can't believe this is here.
Yeah.
And scouting is very similar to that. It's an art, it's a science, and it can be frustrating at times, but it can also be incredibly rewarding to see someone like Taj Gibson play X number of years in the NBA. See someone like James Johnson, who's really a culture driver in Indiana right now, late in his career, to see him realize his full potential. And those are the types of things to know that you had like a small part in influence in their situation. It's pretty rewarding.
Let's talk a little bit about the T-Wolves. I mean, here's a team that has steadily gotten better and better. You've made some good draft picks. Anthony Edwards, to me, is going to be the face of the NBA in a couple of years if he's not already. You guys make it to the Western Conference Finals last year. Talk a little bit about how the season's going this year, the expectations, and basically the culture change there as well.
Yeah, I've been so lucky to be around so many different types of lead front office leaders, and we mentioned John and Gar, we mentioned Jerry. In Orlando, I worked with Rob Hennigan.
Yeah.
I worked with who's at Oklahoma City now, and I worked with Jeff Weltman and John Hammond, who are still in Orlando. And Tim Connolly, he comes in every single day trying to infuse confidence and fun into every situation. So I've seen him try to get into the bloodstream at the Timberwolves over time, and Anthony is very similar to Derek in many ways. Anthony's approach and Anthony's like he's such an incredible player to watch every single night. You almost feel honored, there to be able to sit and watch him play. Um, I've also been lucky to be around a lot of really really good NBA coaches, and Chris Finch has done an incredible job of reestablishing this place as a destination franchise. We made it to the Western Conference Finals last season because of the players, and because the players were all put in a position to succeed by having a defensive orientation and a defensive identity. And we're starting to reestablish that a little bit as we made a giant trade 2 days before training camp started. I don't know if anyone saw that, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So to the last 6 or 7 games, we started to really kind of reestablish who we are and our identity. It's really fun to watch, and it's every season is different. Every season kind of goes through these ups and downs, and it's a story in and of itself. And our story still is being written this year.
Yeah, that trade did catch a lot of people by surprise because, like Stacey mentioned, you make it all the way to the conference finals, and then right before the season's ready to tip off, you trade your all-star center Carl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. Can you share some of the thinking behind that move?
Yeah, I think all these trades in the modern NBA, and this is another evolution over time. They all have many multifaceted reasons why you would do something. And generally, we thought we could maintain our spot in line in the conference and allow for the growth of some of the younger players in the team, Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid in particular, who had established themselves as really, really good NBA players and still young, So we're pretty excited not only about the present of the team, but the future of the team, and giving them all an opportunity to grow and establish themselves as NBA players was part of the reason. And again, like there is several reasons why you make a massive trade like this. One of the things about Tim, he is a kind of a throwback GM, in many ways, because he's not uh, he's never afraid to do something, or he's never afraid to mix it up. And it's been something of a learning experience to be able to watch him operate and message the players and message the coaching staff and message the market about what he is, willing to do. So um, we're still kind of seeing the results play out. I'm sure that the second half of the season is going to be as all good NBA teams do, as all good basketball teams at any level do. They get better as the season goes on, and we're starting to see that. And I would assume by the end of the year we'll continue to see it.
One of the things I like about Anthony Edwards, I consider him a throwback to the 90s. When you listen to him talk, he talks like an old soul. He talks like a guy. And where I appreciate him is he puts these other superstars on notice. Like, hey, I don't miss games. I'm not sitting out for load management. I'm going to play every game because, and he said a quote I heard Michael say that, hey, this might be a family's first time seeing me play. And I want them to be able to see me play. I'm not going to sit out a game, and this could be the first time they came to see me play and paid all this money to see me, and I don't show up. I was automatically a fan from that point on, not just of his athletic ability, but the way he carries himself. And now I know he made a comment about, there was only one skilled player in the 90s. It was Michael Jordan. Then you kind of like, okay, Anthony Edwards, all right, now you had me with the other stuff. Now you lost me with this one. But he's still a kid, though. He's still learning and he's still evolving. Talk a little bit about his development and where you think he can go at the end of this.
Yeah, I think our regular season game there early in the season was a good representation of him because once that last 8 minutes, he kind of just took the game over. He's really evolved even over this last three seasons in many areas. But there's a lot of what you're saying is totally right. He's one of the more, his emotional intelligence is one of the better I've seen from a top player, like a star level player. He cares a lot about his teammates. He cares about their success. He cares about the team being tied together and being recognized as a winner. And he knows his ability to, take a game over at any point is he's always capable of doing that. We saw that in Chicago the last couple minutes of that game. But he cares about the important things, the little things. He cares about defense. He cares about competing, and he's really just a competitive guy that has an emotional intelligence to support a group of players. So his leadership has really evolved and grown, and we've seen that a little bit of late. He made some public comments about what the state of the team was at the time, and since that, I think we're 5-1 or 6-1 in those last 7 games.
He was a little harsh on. He was a little bit harsh on that interview. Like he called people out, but didn't call them out. You know what I'm saying? He just put it on notice.
Yeah, he did. He did it in an emotionally intelligent way that didn't.
For a young player, that was impressive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so that's all like intrinsic in him. He's again, it's just an incredible honor to be able to watch him every single night.
Because the one thing I caught on that when he said we, it was always we.
Right.
It was never them or that guy or this person. It was always we. And again, that's why I have so much respect for that kid to be so young, to be that mature under those circumstances, being a superstar player where the microphone's in your face all the time because of your ability, and you still consider a group. It's we. We need to play better. We're playing soft. And that was impressive.
Yep. He's empowered people. He brings them to the gym and works out with them. I mean, like he's a pretty unique guy, and we're really, really lucky to have him. It's kind of, referencing what we said previously about Derek. We in the front office, we have a tremendous responsibility to Anthony to put him in a position to succeed constantly, and constantly kind of checking the evolution of the team, taking the temperature of the team, and again, putting him in a position to succeed. It's a big responsibility.
Hey, before we let you go, Matt, I got one last one for you. Reflecting back on your media relations days, what was the most awkward thing or crazy request you ever got from a player or person that they wanted you to do to help them out during that time? And you had to do it because, of course,
Ooh.
you were bound to the team.
I think there was a player. He was a rookie, and I won't call him out. He and I are still friends.
Okay.
He and I are still friends. I talk to him all the time. He asked me to help him get tickets in his hometown, and I said, okay, well, where do you want the seats? He goes, just get the two best you can find. So I got courtside seats. I didn't know, and he was a rookie. They were really, really expensive, and I gave him the charge. He goes, oh my gosh, this is how much they cost. I said, hey man, you said the best tickets possible. It was pretty embarrassing. I felt terrible at the time, because I was a rookie at the time too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I finally get hired full time. I'm on the road with the team, and I'm going to get fired because I miscalculated a seating request. And but that's the first one that comes to mind. I'm sure there's a zillion more. That experience that I think you guys have both had experience. The media relations people at an NBA team are usually a group of the hardest working people.
Always on the phone,
games,
always, constantly.
Always on the phone. You have to have game notes ready after a back-to-back at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You got to get them processed, and so I always kind of take special consultation with the media relations people at every single team I'm at, because I understand the grind that they're going through in the season.
Well, you were one of the best in the business, and you still are now in your role as general manager of the Minnesota Timberwolves. We wish you and the franchise all kinds of success. We enjoyed watching the playoff run last year, and hopefully big success ahead for the Timberwolves this season.
I really can't thank you guys enough for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. Good luck. Happy holidays to everyone in Chicago.
You too, Matt.
Matt, great catching up. Matt Lloyd, our guest on Gimme the Hot Sauce. I think we found Timmy Whispers. We'll get his explanation on what happened.
He got
to
dragged in there by St. Bernard.
That's next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. The Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast rolls on with this reminder. When it comes to being treated like royalty, make sure to contact our good friend Jeff Vukovich. He'll take care of all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business. You can reach Jeff at jeffvuk.com. That's Jeff, VUK.com. His phone number, 847-825-4783. He's the best in the business. And, of course, Stacey King's got the jingle.
I'm a little tough today, man. I'm going to do my best.
You can do it.
Nationwide is on your side.
Always a first-class jingle, courtesy of Stacey King. And look who showed up. Timmy Whispers.
You want me to do a little chestnuts roasting on open fire?
No,
we can skip the singing. Tell the folks
we don't want you grabbing any nuts.
Why you were a little late.
I was at the chiropractor. I was all locked up. I could barely walk this morning.
Is there a reason for that? Did you do something frisky last night? Or
Well,
what's going on?
I could get in some details.
Listen, you're too old for that. You're too old to be walking around, Maureen around the room, bouncing around like a rabbit. Give it up, buddy.
Want to hear about the hot sauce?
Come on now.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We've got a new partnership. Let's be
That's
nice.
true. That's true. I was told the other day
clean up
to
your
cut
act.
back on my swearing.
No more swearing for you.
Oh, did you hear about that? Yeah, they were telling D, hey, it's you got to tone it down a little bit.
That guy with the
Stacey and Mark are great, but Whispers were a little worried about it.
Yeah.
So I said, what the,
the guy looks like Rick Ansley. You got to stop cursing.
Yeah.
We don't have a beep button for him.
He's like, we don't have to worry about the professional media guys, but you.
Well, we're glad you made it. We're trying to figure out what they were calling that vehicle you drove, Cybertruck.
The Cybertruck, yes.
Yeah. And how fast can that thing go?
0 to 60 in 2 seconds, and because that's what a pickup truck should do.
Which is always necessary in the Chicago area to get.
Yeah.
And in a pickup truck.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he had to go to a chiropractor, he needed that little 2 seconds.
That's true.
Well, we're glad to have you here, Whispers.
He's over here walking around. He came into the building walking around like he was constipated. I thought he needed enema. He was like, so.
A little too much information.
TMI, baby. But our fans come to know.
We're getting a new sponsor, Dude Wipes.
Oh, are we?
After you just said.
We get free wipes.
Yeah. Hey, they sponsor Pat McAfee. You ever see that right on his
Okay.
on his desk?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so I think they're
Clean
coming
up
after
the
us
outbox.
next.
We don't turn up nothing. We don't turn nothing down but our collar.
Well, I'm a regular user.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Keep it clean, brother. Keep it clean.
Well, Stacey and I were doing the Bulls game on Friday, beating the Charlotte Hornets, and that was a good way to come out of those practices. You know, we mentioned in today's NBA that teams don't get to practice much, and you think guys might have had a little bit of heavy legs after going hard for 2 or 3 days on the practice court?
No. I thought they started the game with energy and their legs were underneath them. They got off to a good start, and it kind of carried over. You see the first and second quarters there. They scored 31 in the first, 28 in the second. The crazy stat that I was like, I mean, the Bulls are going to shoot threes, okay? I think they got over 50 threes attempted yesterday, and they lead the league in three-pointers made and attempted. But the combined three-point shooting between both teams were like 85, 86 between both teams, and they both shot combined like 22%. So they wasn't making a lot of threes, and which is crazy because you're looking at them, you look at the game and you see the Bulls like they pretty much dominated 14 points. There was a point they were up 18, 20 points at a time. When they make shots, and I say this on a nightly basis, when they are knocking down those threes, they can beat anybody in the league. It's when they're not making those threes, where do you manufacture points at? Now, you were able to get away with it a little bit with Charlotte because Charlotte is not a very good defensive team. They were without LaMelo Ball. He makes a big difference in that team. So if you're playing a good team and you only hit 8 or 9 3-point shots, but you take 50, how do you beat the other teams? How are you manufacturing points? And then your defense has to be able to keep things close and keep things where it should be. If you're not playing defense, now I will say they played defense last night, and they did a good job of kind of stopping some runs that the Hornets had. There was a couple times where they cut it to 5, they got it to single digits, and the Bulls got back out to double digits. But their defense is going to have to be on point when they're not making shots.
I saw a note on X. The two teams combined to miss 75 3-point shots. That's an NBA record for a regulation game.
Really?
The two teams missed 70.
I told you it was like 22% combined.
And that's crazy.
Listen, this is where the game is going. I'm not a big fan of it, because I think you can take 3-point shots, but to me, they should be in the flow of what you're doing offensively. You watch when the Bulls make their 3-point shots, it's because the ball has touched 2 or 3 people's hands and they found the open shooter and the guy's wide open. A lot of times the Bulls come down, they're shooting contested threes. They're coming off the break with a guy with a hand in their face. Those are the most difficult shots to make. There's one guy on this team that can make those shots that are contested, and that's Zach. Zach is a shot maker. And, you look at Zach sometimes go bad shot, bad shot, bad shot. But for Zach LaVine, that's a good shot because he can make that shot. And I think sometimes he relies too much on that. But I thought at the end of the game, both teams were in the penalty yesterday, Mark, with about 6 minutes to go. A lot of time. And then you see both teams recognizing that, and they started going to the basket, especially the Bulls. They went to the basket, got fouled, and got to the free throw line. That's how you manufacture points and understanding, that's where your basketball IQ comes into play. Understanding situations, 6 minutes, 30 seconds. Let's go to the basket. We're in the penalty.
The Bulls are going to have a home-and-home series coming up against the Boston Celtics. They play in Boston on Thursday, and then the Celtics will be at the United Center on Saturday. And they've really taken that 3-point shooting to another level. They average like 43 a game. They're number 1 in the NBA. The Bulls are second in the league in 3-point attempts per game. And the Celtics won a championship. They've got big guys like Porzingis, Cornette, who can shoot those threes, and everybody's got the green light. And it seems like with the analytic approach in the league right now, everybody's kind of copying the same formula, even if they don't have that same personnel.
See, that's the issue with me.
Yeah.
You don't have the same personnel. The league averages 38, 39% from the 3-point line. People who are shooting under 30% really shouldn't have a green light. Yeah. You really shouldn't have a green light because your chances of making a three is not very good. And a lot of times these teams have those kind of players that are not good 3-point shooters, but they're taking them. And when you're not making the mark, this is where the problem is. When you're not making all these threes, you take 50 but only hit 8, you're going to get beat on most nights because what happens is your long shot becomes a rebound for the other team. And a possibility for you to score 3 or 2 has gone out the window. Now you got a point swing because they go down and hit a 3 or they get a 2 or they get a foul the old-fashioned way. You got nothing on your possession. So if you come down 5 straight times and take threes and got nothing out of it, that was a possible 15 points just based off threes that you did not get, okay? They went down the other end, and their 5 opportunities they scored 10 of those points. Now you're down double digits.
Yeah, it's crazy. The 3-point thing has really gotten out of control, and
The analytic people need to call me.
And we've seen it in the NBA Cup games, especially when they got to the quarterfinals. Teams are playing more like a playoff style of basketball, and those games are more fun to watch because teams are really competing, and it's not just a 3-point shooting contest.
Well, if you want to win, I mean, the good teams have recognized that. Yeah, we're going to take some threes, but we're not going to be taking these crazy threes. We're going to come out here and we're going to play defense. We're going to take what the defense gives us. We're going to shut you down. We're going to rebound the basketball. We're going to get second chance opportunities. We're going to get to the free throw line because that's how you neutralize 3-point shooting. If you got a team that's going to take, like I said, 45, 50 3-point shots, and let's just give them, let's say they make 10. Okay, they made 30 points just off of those 3-point shots. The other team comes back, takes half that number, but gets 20 points at the free throw line. They get 14 points off of second chance points. They get 14 or 15 points off of fast break. You see where that just trumps what you did at the 3-point line. You're still going to lose by double digits because they've outscored you in 4 or 5 different categories, and you can't make that up.
I want to get to one other NBA topic before we take a timeout. Joel Embiid, injured again. A sinus fracture. It didn't really look like he got hit that hard, but he obviously got hit in exactly the wrong place. He's had 3 different facial injuries that have cost him time. At this point, people are saying, well, he's not in shape and all that, but nothing you can do about somebody hitting you in the face.
No, that's a freak accident. If I'm Philadelphia, you see him every day. That's the luxury of teams having their star players. You see him every day. You can tell like how many years he has left, what his health is every single day. If I'm Philadelphia, I might be moving from him. I might have to move him and trade him and try to get some kind of ransom where his value is still at the highest. Yeah. Even though he's a guy that says, I don't want to play back-to-back. He comes into camp not in shape most of the time. It's really been a problem in Philadelphia, and it's not sitting well with the younger players like Maxey, who's called him out. He's supposed to be a leader of that team. He's an elder statesman of that team, but he's not the leader. But you see how good he is when he decides to play. We saw that when he came back, his first game back after, I don't know how many games he missed, but he comes back against the Bulls. He gets like 31 and 12 or 13 rebounds.
Yeah,
you
it took
see
him
how
a quarter to shake off the rust.
Yeah,
he scored 31.
Well, because you remember the first 5 or 6 minutes, he was like 0 for 7, and then all of a sudden he decided, I'm gonna stop shooting threes and start going inside, and he started hitting the mid-range game and posting up a little bit, and it made a huge difference in that game, and they took control of that game. But you can't count on him. He's not dependable. Both him and Ben Simmons, I think, Philadelphia, I understand what they were doing when they were red-shirting them. I get that. But they've established a culture with particularly those 2 guys that they can show up and play whenever they wanted to show up and play. It's okay if you don't feel good. It's okay if your body's a little sore. Well, hey, newsflash, you're a professional athlete. Your body's going to be sore every day of the week, even when you're in the summertime. I mean, shit, my body's still sore now. I got to take a Uber cab to get to the bathroom every day. So, it happens. It's just part of being a professional athlete. It doesn't matter what sport you play, football, soccer, if you're a tennis player, if you play pickleball as a professional, your body is going to have aches and pain because what we put our bodies through, you can't expect anything less.
So we'll see what happens, how long Joel Embiid is going to be out. And Philadelphia's dug themselves a big hole. They were supposed to be a contending team in the East, and right now they look like they could be headed for the lottery. We're going to put whispers to work. Yeah, you got a Christopher Walken in you. The holidays are coming. People are looking for gifts.
He's coming. He's coming next week.
Oh, you can tell he's hurt. You can tell he's hurt, America. Yeah. His back is hurting bad. Yeah, he don't even want to do Chris.
Can you read the Gimme the Hot Sauce?
The read? We haven't even done this in a long time. Yeah. Are you looking to score the hottest sauce in the game? I mean, we got it.
Oh, geez, you're fired, man. Their energy level sucks.
No, this is terrible. I think we should just talk.
The copy.
I did not write this. I would never write something this bad. Are you looking to score the hottest sauce in the game? Really?
Look, you see how he passed the buck.
No,
I didn't write it.
No, what's been great though, a lot of people in the past week actually used the code HOLIDAY.
Yeah.
They weren't using walk-in queue or walk-in fire. Right. But maybe that was too difficult.
So they can use holiday.
But holiday for the free shipping and 50% off of the barbecue and the 1871. And so
People love the sauce.
And we got an order from the Netherlands. Think about that. It might have been Santa Claus. I don't know, but someone ordered from over there.
I didn't know he was from the Netherlands.
Me
Well,
either.
it's just a guess. just a
Creative
guess.
history by
Maybe
Timmy
we'll get him
Whispers.
on the show. We've been known to get the hardest guests.
Chris Kringle seems like a
Oh, yeah.
Dutch
North
kind of
Pole
name.
is just west of the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, just it's right over there
It's on
somewhere.
the other side of the equator. On the warmer
Geography
side.
over 100, Timmy.
Well, hey, I was watching.
It's the pain pills, Mark. It's the pain pills. You don't even know where he's at right now.
Oh my goodness!
It sounds like a place he'd live.
We're gonna
we get off the
whisper
rag.
something to drink.
Yeah.
Maybe sober.
And no alcohol, because obviously he's been hit already.
I'll be drunk next week. Don't worry about it. I'll be drunk next week.
We're talking about some baseball news. Both the Cubs and White Sox making moves coming out of the winter meetings. That is next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Welcome back. Final segment of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Timmy Whispers, Stacey King alongside. And the Major League Baseball meetings were held recently in Dallas, Texas. Not a whole lot of news out of there, except Juan Soto going to the Mets. But then afterwards, you got the Garrett Crochet trade. He's going to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for 4 prospects. And then the Cubs made a huge trade. They acquire all-star outfielder Kyle Tucker from the Houston Astros in exchange for Isaac Paredes, Hayden Wisniewski, and their number 1 draft pick Cam Smith from the past season. Stacey, I know you cover the White Sox or follow the White Sox closely. You think this is a good move for them to cash in Crochet for a chance at 4 guys that could be good players?
They've got to bottom it out. They got to start over. You know, I mean, it's been really tough to watch. You know, expectations were high 3 or 4 years ago. They were considered like a World Series contender a couple of years ago, and they just kind of rock bottom out. You might as well try to get as much as you can, have a fire sale, get as much as you can, get some young prospects. Hopefully they develop in a couple of years and just rebuild. Tell your fan base this is the route we're going. You know, we're not going to spend money right now. They went after Soto. They were talking about they
Sox?
Yeah,
No.
They were mentioned in there. They just didn't
We're
have
gonna
enough.
cough up that coin.
They would not be involved.
Hey, listen, man. there's a-
750 million.
Hey, no, but it wasn't there. It wasn't at 750 at first. I mean, they were at the Ohtani. It started at the Ohtani
I think you saw
price.
one of those fake accounts. It wasn't Jeff Passan.
listen,
it was
man.
Jeff
Hey, listen.
Forward.
Hey, don't sleep on the White Sox, baby. White Sox.
No,
the
they
White
weren't
Sox
in.
had
No,
some.
no.
Listen, they had some overtures out there. Somebody asked somebody, was he available? Now they may not
were
have bid it
after a
on him.
Third string outfielder.
Listen,
That was
that's
Juan
terrible.
DeSoto.
Wow. Well, hey, listen, White Sox, I know y'all tried. Y'all went out there and asked questions and see if the guy was available. Once you found out that he wasn't available, then they moved on. Well, you guys are hard, man. You guys are harsh. You'll never go to a Sox game, man. Neither one of you guys. You got to cover them. They're gonna have a poster on the wall.
They
Don't
made
let
it clear
Sinatra-
they made it clear they were not going to be involved in bidding on the top free agent.
Listen,
Now, I
They-
didn't make that
listen,
news. They did.
they want to throw everybody off. Okay, they want to make it seem like they weren't doing
So
anything.
you got insider
I
information.
got inside
Dun,
information.
dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
So
dun,
they're
dun.
making
They made
they
some
were making us
overtures.
think they weren't going to do anything, and then they made us believers
Yeah, they made you believe
because they
it.
didn't do anything.
Because they want you to understand, like, hey, look, we're going in this direction, but you really don't know what we're trying to do. We're whispering over to Soto's camp. Hey, is there a chance
You had
that
DeSoto.
you could come over to the White Sox?
765
How much
million,
is it
right?
going to cost? $750 million. $750 million? No, absolutely not. Can we get a discount?
What about the Cubs move? Kyle Tucker put up together some big numbers. Whispers. The Bleacher fans are gonna love him out there.
Yeah, but what do you think about giving up on Cam?
We don't know. You know, he's just a prospect. The guy they took,
Yeah.
in the first round
Well,
of
you
last summer.
He'll be one of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah, but
That's how
there
that
comes
works.
a point where you can't always just say, "Well, we've got 8 of the top 100 prospects."
Yeah.
What good does that do for your major league team? If they're
I
not
agree
gonna-
with you, Mark.
I just know when it's the Cubs, when they give up on a guy like that, they turn out to be great.
Well, Houston, I'm sure, wanted Matt Shaw, who was their number 1 prospect. He might play third base for the Cubs this season because they traded Paredes in the deal.
Yeah. No
But
Patrick
Tucker's
Wisdom
numbers,
anymore.
Side by side with Soto over the last 3 or 4 years, identical.
Yeah.
Well, but the question is, what will that kind of come over to with the Cubs? Will he bring those numbers to the Cubs, or will we have to see him bat under 200 and
No,
struggle at the plate? And I don't want to
he's in
see
his
that.
prime.
Uh,
28 years old.
But those analytics have changed now too. You have to have the bats and not the defense. It's shifted.
And they
So-
may trade either Bellinger or Suzuki to get another starting pitcher in here. They were talking to the Yankees about a Bellinger trade. They're trying to get one of their top prospects, a kid named Will Warren, who might slide into their rotation. So they're moving on a lot of fronts. They still need to get a closer, I think, to cap things off. But Milwaukee's weakened. They traded Devin Williams. They're closer to the Yankees. I think the Cubs going into spring training might be the favorite in that division. But we said that last year too.
Yeah.
We said that last year. Yeah. And they were up and down, and they had a chance to get to the playoffs, and then they faltered. They ran out of gas. But.
Hope springs eternal on the north side.
Well, I just want to see. Listen, I just want to see one of those teams, break from mediocrity and get out and be a threat. And
How about any Chicago team?
That's uncalled for. What are you trying to say?
I don't care if it's even the Wolves. Somebody, please win some games.
You trying to talk about the Bulls too?
Yeah.
Keep the Bulls out your mouth, man. All right, don't talk about
Everybody's
the Bulls.
got to make some moves.
Listen, we're working on that. Okay,
we're building every team.
We're building.
Yeah. Man, this low energy whispers is just throwing me.
He just came in here and said,
"Hey, how's the Chicago Fire doing?" I haven't
Wow.
kept up with
Got
that.
a new coach. They hired the fired U.S. national team coach, Greg Berhalter.
Oh no!
It's why? Because they weren't doing well.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, see what I mean?
Oh man, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Chicago sports. The Bulls right now, we're holding the mantle right
There you
now.
go.
We got the light shining.
Yeah.
We're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
We got some good young players. Developing nicely. Modest Buzelis is developing nicely.
We may have him on the show coming
Yes,
up, right?
yes, we're dun 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 dun. We were supposed to. We're gonna get him pretty soon, and we got
looking forward to that.
AK coming on at some point. He's given the okay to come on, so we'll get some players on here.
Time now for one of our favorite segments. What are we watching? We give you tips on what you might want to stream on the various streaming services. Whispers, what have you been watching?
Watch the red one, and that's
Yeah, it looks
pretty well
interesting.
done.
A lot of stars in that.
Yeah, a lot of fun. J.K. Simmons working out with The Rock. He went in this fitness regimen over the past couple of years, and he's you wouldn't guess it, but he's pretty jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked jacked in that movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was a muscle suit.
Santa Claus is he's pretty fit.
So he's not fat.
Coming to town to kick some ass, right?
No, he's not a fat Santa, but he does kick some ass in there too.
Really? I
Yeah.
got to check that. I've heard 3 people say it's good.
Yeah, and The Rock is 550 years old as his chief security elf. They got to go fight Krampus. It's
A good
do they
holiday
Krampus?
film.
they got to. The Krampus is great. That's a great scene. It's
Oh,
hilarious.
yeah. Okay, good. I got to watch that. I got to watch that.
That's good stuff.
All right, Stace, what do you got?
Landman with Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, that's fun.
I'm going to tell you, Billy Bob Thornton plays like every dirty, stinky role. When you watch him in this, he just looks like he smells for like weeks, okay?
You almost smell him through the
Yeah, you can
screen.
smell him through TV. He just always plays this dirty, greasy character. But he plays, I only saw one episode because I just finished watching,
Wait till you meet his daughter.
Oh, I saw her. Is that Allie Lauer?
I don't know what her name
The
is.
blonde? Or no, the
Young
girl
blonde.
or the girl who works in the ice cream drive-through. There's a girl that worked in the drive-through.
No, his daughter I don't think comes in the first episode.
His son is though. His son
is working.
They almost fell off the.
killed him. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was funny. It's like, oh my God, we're getting ready to kill. What is his name? Landman's name. What is his name? Billy Bob Thornton's name in the show.
I'm blanking.
Come on, Mark. You done seen 18 episodes.
I'm watching too many shows.
But I'm gonna tell you something. It's a very good show. It starts off, the beginning of it just starts off, and you're thinking, oh my God, like you just see this guy with a hood over his head, and the Mexican cartel's got him, and no one's speaking English yet. So and then so you got Billy Bob Thornton just talking trash, talking about he's getting ready to urinate on himself. He could go to the bathroom. And then the cartel guy got tired of hearing him and then punched him in the face with the butt of the gun. He starts bleeding. And then the head of the cartel comes in and he asks him basically, what happened. And then the guy like, told him what he did. And then he pulled out a gun and shot his own man. Yeah. I was just like, oh my God, where's this going? And then so Billy Bob Thornton is there. He's tied up. He's got a hood over his head and they're negotiating the land. So these drug dealers are like fighting, for the land. They want to use it to transport drugs or whatever. He's basically negotiating for a big firm and the government, basically. Mm-hmm. And he's just talking trash, being captive. And I'm thinking to myself, these dudes can cut your head off, kill you, not even think twice about it. But he's still talking trash, telling him what they're going to do, why you're going to do it. And here's, if you don't do it, this is the reason what's going to happen to you if you don't do it. The U.S. government will fly a drone over your wife's house, your mother's house, whoever is your family, and drop bombs on you. They'll be gone.
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton plays Tommy Norris.
Tommy Norris.
And John Hamm is in there. Monty Miller, he's the
he's the head
head
guy.
of the-
Yep, he's the head guy. It's a great show. It kind of reminds you of like a more edgy Dallas, with JR, JR Ewing and those guys. It's a more edgier, a more edgier thing. But Billy Bob Thornton's character so far is like, he's a roughneck. Like he's just tough as nails. He drinks beer all the time. It could be like 8 in the morning. He pulls out a beer, or most people are drinking coffee.
Right.
He's pulling out beer. He's got all these characters that I've seen on, a lot of the characters on that show. I've seen on different shows, like Sons of Anarchy. One of the Mexican Mayans leader is in there. The one actor I like, Michael, Hispanic kid, always in every movie. Michael, what do you see?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He's
in everything.
He's always in everything.
Yeah.
He was in the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, the 2 police officers.
Yeah.
Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Do you know what that movie was called?
No.
He's still on pain pills. Don't ask him any specific questions.
Yeah, but this guy is in everything. Matter of fact, he was in Narcos. He was in the Netflix Narcos. What's his name?
He was even in that space movie.
Who? Michael? No,
No.
that's not a Mexican name.
No.
He's Hispanic. He's a Hispanic
He even
actor.
played an astronaut in one of the space movies.
Yeah. No, that's not his
No.
name. That's
No.
not his name.
I know who you're talking
We'll come back to that. I'm gonna find it because
All right, Stacey's gonna look that up. I'll tell you what I've started watching again. Season 2 of The Diplomat with Kerry Russell, where she plays the U.S. Diplomat to the Great Britain. And the funny thing about the show is that the Prime Minister of England is basically trying to overthrow the government. It's just a bizarre. He turns out to be the evil guy in this, and Kerry Russell is trying to figure out a way to expose him behind the scenes. So it's a good show. Only 6 episodes per season, but it's been a lot of fun to watch. Did you find your?
you just keep talking, Mark.
I have a friend who just became a diplomat this past summer.
Where?
And in Indiana, he's for the UN, and so he's got diplomatic immunity. He can't get a speeding ticket now or parking tickets, and
He's got
Michael
Crazy.
Pena.
that's him.
Michael Pena. That's his
He's in
name.
everything.
He doesn't
Yeah.
last very long.
Oh, I know, because I can just see he's when I'm looking at the cast, he's way down at the very bottom.
Well,
He-
He only got one episode.
He gets
got burned
killed
up
a
real
lot.
quick.
Yeah, I can tell.
He gets killed in like every show he's in.
Yeah.
But he's a good actor.
Yes.
Yeah, even when he's an
End of
ass-
Watch. If you've never seen End of Watch with Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena,
No, he's in
please
a lot of stuff.
watch
Yeah.
that. He is awesome in that. He's a police officer. They're both police officers, and they're trying to keep the Mexican cartel from getting in. They end up being on the hit list from the Mexican cartel, and it's a great movie. You got to watch End of Watch. It's a great movie.
All right, I think we've done all we can do here. We got to
Yes,
send
we
Whispers off
did.
to get some more pain pills.
Yeah, I'm gonna
get
put
that
him. I'm
back
gonna
online.
put him
start
in a.
drinking.
I'm gonna do a John Cena. I'm gonna do a John Cena on him and put him in the backbreaker. I'm just gonna clothesline him and see.
That might help.
It's the
Yeah.
new chiropractic.
It's a new
practice.
chiropractor. Yeah. Have you
Yeah.
ever seen those chiropractors that take those hammers?
Oh,
They hammer you in the back.
No,
I
no,
saw
I
a
haven't
video
seen
the
that.
other day, right? And some lady
That's
was
what Whispers needs.
some lady was
Oh,
getting one. I
you
think
should
she
have
has
heard
like
my
some
neck
kind of
today.
she has some like
Wow.
a knot on the back of her
Yeah.
neck, And the dude took a mallet and some kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah.
hit her.
Yeah,
And
the
she
mallet.
screamed like something. I mean, I'd never heard anybody scream like. I said, why in the hell would you let someone hit you with a mallet in the back of the neck? That's just crazy.
And Whispers is going to drink on top of his pain pills. That's always
Yeah.
good too.
Well, that's always good. Drive
That's
drive a
like-
monster
Drive home
truck.
safely.
Drive a monster truck that goes from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
Hey, I just put it in self-drive mode. I'm all good.
Oh my God.
Hey, we appreciate all our loyal viewers and listeners. We're really excited about our new partnership with Chicago Sports Network. If you're watching the show on CHSN, thank you for watching. Plenty of great guests coming up in the weeks ahead. Whispers will bring more energy next week, we promise. You'll get to know him, which is kind of a scary process.
Well, I'll be
Stacey's
drunk.
known
It's
him for over
Friday.
30 years, but
30 years of abuse.
Friday holiday lunch next week, so we're.
This is.
oh, that's true. The holiday party version.
That's right.
Do you have a
Yeah.
holiday party?
You
Here.
bet. Yeah,
Next
why
Friday.
don't you come early? We'll,
Why don't
we'll all
you-
get loaded.
You know what? You didn't even invite us. We didn't even get the
Why don't
invitation.
you pick us up in that
You're
Cybertruck?
invited now. Yeah, we'll go
What
on the
day?
Cybertruck.
What day is it?
Friday. We're doing
Friday.
the show. Come early. We'll
Is all the people in the office
get
gonna
a
be
few
here?
pops in us.
Yeah.
It'll be a hell of a show.
Okay. All right. Cool. Is your family coming?
I don't invite them.
Wow.
They'll be here. They'll be here
Yeah.
with bells on.
It's free cakes. He'll be. His brother Chris will definitely be here.
Yeah.
Free drinks.
Yeah, you got on that.
All right. Well, we hope you're having a great holiday season. Enjoy the parties and everything else that's going on. We'll have a brand new episode for you next week. Thanks for watching on the Chicago Sports Network, and until we see you next time.
Drive home safely, Chicago. Beep, beep. Hey, what's up? This is Stacey King
And I'm Timmy Whispers.
of Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Each week, make sure you join us. Timmy Whispers, what do they need to hit?
They need to hit like and subscribe so they get all the notifications and news from our podcast.
That boy is sweet. Just make sure when the video's over, click to the left, and you'll hear our previous videos for the previous week and have some fun, because we'd love to have fun on Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast.
Woohoo!
Oh my goodness! It's only preseason, but I'm hyped, Neil Thought, Jimmy G,